Hello, hello, hello. Hello. So if you're seeing this part here, it means you're watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, can you give me a hashtag replay? I love to know that you were here and to see who was on. So if you're coming on, please say hello, hello. I'd love to know where you're joining from and just to say hello, basically. So just give me 1 minute. I'm just going to share this in one of my groups before I start, but I'm going to read for you all. It's a rainy Sunday here in Bali, where I am. So let me just quickly type this. All right. So yeah, it's a rainy old Sunday where I am in Bali. It's wet season has just hit. Wet season is upon us. And so it's been really, really heavy rain, and I was feeling like, well, it feels like a reading type of day. And then when I decided it was a reading type of day, I'm like, I actually might come on here and read to you from my book, The Blue Diamond Souls, Calling in the Next Generation. Can you see that properly? So this book was launched, gosh, I don't even know anymore, like back in March. I wrote it in January. It was released back in March, I think it was. And I feel like I'm going to have a little bit of a read for you. So wherever you are on this, I was going to say lazy Sunday. It's probably not a lazy Sunday for everyone. It's a lazy Sunday for me because of the rain. So grab a cup of tea or find a seat, and I'm going to read you a story. Say hello wherever you are. I can see Millie's on. Hi, Millie. Who else is here with me? Don't be shy. Say hello, hello, hello. Wherever you are, I love to be chatted to, or little love hearts or likes or something if you're on here with me, so I know I'm not alone. And I shall start to read. It's kind of like story time. Who doesn't love story time, right? When they were little and just laying in bed and someone would read them a book. We're kind of going to do that. So those of you who don't already know about the Blue Diamond Souls, the Blue Diamond Souls are high vibrational beings that are being born here at this time to support us in the rise of consciousness that we're in humanity at the moment. And when I wrote this book, we were not, the world was not in lockdown when I wrote this book. There was not a lot of the things that are happening in the world right now, actually, when I wrote this book. So once I had published the book and the world kind of went into the state that we're in, it was even more fascinating to me what had come through in this book. So you'll see it says it's co-written by myself and the Blue Diamond Souls. So I'm a channel or a medium or whatever you would like to call it, a voice for the Blue Diamond Souls. And writing this book was the first time I really shared that publicly, that I am their voice. And so hearing what they had to say in the process of writing this book and then seeing what has happened to the world since has been a super fascinating experience. So I'm going to have a read. So my story. Why do I choose to tell you my story in a book that's not about me? I feel it's important to understand the background of how I ended up here writing this book. During the 9 days leading into writing this book, I've been fasting. 2 days of juice, 7 days of water, and 2 days of soups. Why? To ensure what I channel into these pages is coming through a clear conduit and not caught up in the low vibrations of the food that most of us eat on a daily basis. As an only child and an only grandchild, I grew up in a relaxed, small beach town of Northern Beaches, Australia. It's a lazy Saturday, and I think it's Sunday. Thanks, Millie. I fully thought it was Sunday. It's Saturday. So it's a lazy Saturday afternoon here in Bali, not a Sunday. I'm a day ahead of myself. Hey, Jean, darling. So as I read this, and probably you'll notice that I won't just read, I'll stop and talk to you, and I'll also kind of fill you in on other little bits around the story that are not in the book as well. My plan is to be reading you the whole book over the next kind of week or 2 weeks, so we'll just see what we get through today, and then keep an eye out for other lives in the future if you want to kind of know a little bit more behind the scenes around how this book was written. So I'll keep reading around my story. So young single mom, my mom worked hard to ensure she could give me everything in the world that a girl could want. A side effect of that was that I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, at different times living with them, or at the very least going there often. To be honest, I thought it was pretty awesome to have all the attention of my grandparents and of my mom. Hey, Kerry. A few years later, the final piece of the puzzle landed as my dad walked into our lives and made our little family complete. Being a kid was great. Isn't that very funny? I'm talking to you and my phone over here is doing something very, very strange. So you're on my iPad and my phone is talking to me at the same time. Being a kid was great. Yes, I also had many hidden demons that would come out as I grew up. Beliefs and conditioning that started to impact who I was as I hit teenage years. But hey, I'm going to save those for another book, which actually I've started to write the other book since this one. Hey, Kat. Hey, Tara. I think it's Hey, Joe. Yes. From Mexico. Hi, all the way from Mexico. How'd you survive in the hurricane? Hope it was all okay. So during those child years, I had this secret connection to other realms, which I know many children do until adults unintentionally shut it down, telling us that it's like silly stories. And I could see fairies. I thought it was pretty normal to chat to them. And I built places for them in the garden so that they could play. When my neighbor died as a little girl, I thought it was normal to have conversations with her when I knew she was in our house. And I was never scared. Yet I also did have the scary people come to my room. The ones I would try to hide from under the bed. They could talk to me too, and I didn't know how to be selective about what I saw and what I heard. And so eventually I thought it was safer to just shut it all down. Who else can relate to this? And I just decided that I pretended that I couldn't see or hear any of these other beings in my room. Until one day when I met a man. I know, it's always about a man. So he intrigued me, he captured my interest, and I was lost in a whirlwind romance at only 18. When I asked him, "Where are you from?" he just mysteriously pointed upwards. I knew there was something really different about this man, and I wanted to know more. So, like the spontaneous 18-year-old that I was, within a week, I moved out of my family home and moved in with him. Do not ask my parents about that story. That was not a great situation. Actually, side note, they were in Bali on a holiday. They came home and I had moved out with the man of my dreams at 18. So from then on, everything changed path. Everything I had closed down now started to open up even more. And suddenly everything seemed to make more sense. Magic started to open up in my world and I finally felt like I found where I belonged. I started practicing Wicca, meditation, astral travel, studying Kabbalah, inner world theories, and opening myself up to literally everything that I could find. My channel well and truly opened, and I spent a lot of time channeling, writing, hearing, seeing, and knowing things that I had not read anywhere else. But life started to make sense. I was also doing crystal healing and hands-on healing, and people were having big transformations on my table. Kundalini activations, which by the way, I didn't know what they were at the time. But side note again, I'll tell you this story. I was massaging a lady, and as I was giving her this massage, she started like convulsing on the table, and I was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And that was the day that I learned what Kundalini was. But just by the touch of my hands, I was setting off the Kundalini and this amazing, beautiful woman that I was giving a massage to. Hello, Bewitchful. Hello, Vanessa. And so my channel well and truly had opened at that time. And it was pretty confronting, right? For those people who have had their channel open, it's confronting. Oh my gosh, Bronte, you're feeding a blue diamond soul right now. This is perfect for you to be listening. So I kind of started to feel like I was a little bit of a crazy person. And one day I was in the middle of a shop and I started freaking out. I was crying and I was knowing that people were being killed. I was seeing and hearing them, and I knew there was nothing I could do to help. And I was thinking, what good are my gifts if I can't help people when I see things? And so I started to shut it all down again. And so for many years, I went into the pattern of doing everything I could to shut down my gifts. I made choices that I knew would numb me. that would lower my vibration, that would shut down my channel. And I dated men who were abusive in different forms. I drank, I partied, and so many other things that I will go into in the other book that's more about me, not about the Blue Diamond Souls. And so anyway, one day I met a man. I know, I already said I met a man, but this time I met a different man. This one's different to the last story, I promise. I was invited to a talk in Sydney by a friend who told me that she had this gut feeling that I should come to an event and hear a speaker that day. And I trusted her. I went straight from the airport. I'm not even going to read this story. I'm going to tell it to you. I went straight from the airport to this little pub in Sydney and walked out the back. I had no idea really what I was going to. And anyway, I walk in there and this tall, lanky guy walks out and starts to talk to us. And I'm all dressed up. I'm like, in my events gear at the time, very snobby at the time I was, which I'm not anymore. And I walked into the back of this pub in Sydney, and this tall, lanky guy walks out to talk, and he's like not even dressed in anything amazing. And I'm kind of going into my instant judgment. But then he opened his mouth and he started to talk, and I was like, oh, this guy is talking about like all the things that I have thought about being when I was younger, or the books or the authors or the magical people that I've read about and kind of been too scared that I would want to hide the book and never really share it. So anyway, that modality that I was hearing about was the spiral. And the guy that I talk about, a lot of you will know him from following me as well, was Dane Thomas. Going through the spiral shook things up. And I was beginning to see or become conscious of the patterns in my life that I had played out to get me to where I was. And he'd shone a light on them, he'd released them, and I still knew that there were other changes that needed to be made in my life, but things were starting to change. At the time, I was working too hard in corporate events. I was working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, kind of thought it was normal to just be a workaholic. I was living under very high stress and a lot of pressure. It is a perfect description of Dane, isn't it? He's not lanky anymore. He was lanky back then. Now he's just tall. So anyway, there was this one day I was in Melbourne and I was running this big fancy event, 350 people, big gala awards dinner. And I started getting these pains in my chest. Some of you heard me share this story before. I started getting these pains in my chest and shooting down my arms, and I was struggling to breathe, and I was thinking, I'm in trouble. I don't even know what's going on, but I know I'm in trouble. And my entire work ethic was stronger than my own self-care. So I sat at that table, sending text messages to my staff across the room, telling them how to run the event. And I stayed there with that fake smile on my face, pretending that I was okay, when actually I should have been in an ambulance. And I can tell you this story without needing to read it. So the next day, I went and had my blood pressure tested, right? I tested my blood pressure once, went, oh, there's something wrong with this machine. They tested it again on the same machine, and they were like, no, this machine's broken. So they went and got another machine, tested my blood pressure, and they were like, got someone else to come over, and they tested my blood pressure again, and they're like, you're in big trouble. You actually need to leave this event and go to the doctors now. And I'm like, well, this is my event. I can't leave. I need to stay. I packed everything up, went back to Sydney, went to my doctor the next day, and my family doctor was like, I have never said this to anyone, but how quickly can you quit your job? And I was like, oh, fuck, that's the wake-up call that I never wanted to get, but the wake-up call that I had to get. And so in that moment, I realized there was something really wrong. I was putting everybody else ahead of me in my own life. And so within a month, I closed my 2 businesses. I got in the car, I drove to Byron Bay, and I changed my entire life. I bought a caravan, or actually my parents supported me buying a caravan. Hi, Mum. Lived in a caravan in Byron Bay on a property for a while I was like getting myself back together. But from that day forward, I promised myself that I would once again learn how to open my channel that I had been closing down all these times, and that was my gift. And to learn how to live in these multiple dimensions that I'm living within without losing my shit in public like I had before, and without getting scared like I had before. And so I had recently become a practitioner of the spiral, the modality that Dane created. Hi, Justin. So, brought to your bub was an intense wake-up call. These Blue Diamond Souls, babe, they're definitely a wake-up call. And Kerry, I would highly recommend doing the disappearing for a while in a caravan. It was amazing. So I'd recently become a practitioner of the spiral, which I have to tell you, I have seen it change countless lives. Actually, there's a couple of practitioners who are on here at the moment as well, live, who are also having the same experience. And, and all these years later, I'm now the lead teacher of the spiral as well. And one of the reasons I am is because I do see that we can help people release their old conditioning and to shift humanity at this time. So, and then almost 3 years ago, Dane and I co-created Womb Spiral. So that's kind of a little bit about my story. Now I want to tell you about my first meeting with the Blue Diamond Souls. And I will read this one, and I will do the same thing of keep on interrupting and sharing you a little more behind the scenes rather than straight from the book. So the Blue Diamond Souls and the concept of conscious conception were unexpectedly introduced to me in a powerful setting in 2017. Ever since that moment, I've been so captured by these souls, how to support and honor them on their journey here to this dimension of Earth, and how to share the transmission of conscious conception with as many people as possible. This is a deeply personal story of how they first appeared to me, and it's one that I don't share publicly lightly. Yet, at the same time as it being incredibly private, I'm committed to sharing all aspects of this journey, knowing that opening myself up in service is also opening the portal that is needed in the world. So, deep breath. And here we go as I tell you this story. Do you know, I've told this story countless times, and every time my heart races and I feel tears well up. But here we go. So first, let me tell you that for many years I actually tried to get pregnant. And well, at least that's what I told myself and my husband and my following partner at the time. But if I was to be completely honest with you here, when I was with my husband, I would pray every day that I would not get pregnant, knowing that it was not a safe environment for a child to enter. I knew my own personal desire to be a mother was not worthy of causing another little being to be caught in the painful web of life that I had chosen at that time. And all these years later, I see the bigger picture. I am not here to birth one child. My womb is here to support the birth of many. That is the day, or this story that I'm about to tell you about is the day that I became a soul midwife. In a sweet little hut in the countryside of New Zealand, my partner at the time and I were spending 2 quiet nights alone to rest and recover post a 6-week deep dive immersion at Haydn Mystery School before heading off for another soul journey to Egypt. I was at a time in my life where I was starting the commitment of my life to a path of soul initiation and of finding a way to a heart-led life, inviting my own soul to finally come home and rest in my heart. My partner and I had spent the last 6 weeks practicing sacred union or lovemaking through the womb gates. And I'll speak more about those in a little while. And we're experiencing deep shamanic journeys during our lovemaking. This particular day, we'd set up a potent shamanic container, a ritual, as we headed into an afternoon of making love through the gates, taking ourselves into the cosmic womb or the void, the place of pure potentiality. For anyone who has not experienced that, it is the most divine experience to be able to journey with a partner into this space of cosmic womb, of void, of pure potentiality, of nothing together, a place where really the two just merges into one. So in that place, it's no longer an experience of you and me. It becomes one of union beyond the selves, a melting and dissolving into everything. In that moment, as we reached the cosmic womb, a storm started to brew outside, leading up to a sudden crack of thunder and lightning. And in that moment, he ejaculated, which he usually would refrain from, but the energy had taken us and we were no longer in a place of mind or control. Something greater was moving us. As we lay there in the blissful silence, I could feel the sensation and see the image of sperm meeting egg, vibrating together, and eventually feeling the egg start to divide, thinking, is this even possible? What could I be feeling? My partner looks at me with inquiry in his eyes, and we had a moment of silent conversation and knowing without words until one of us said, did we just make a baby? Both overwhelmed and in tears of amazement, he went to catch some air outside. And as he was gone, a soul came through the window to talk with me. The soul said, "Will you give everything for me?" And in that moment, I was like, yes, of course I will give everything for you. Bring all of you is welcome here. I'm like, whoa, did that just happen? His thoughts and feelings were swirling through me. And in that moment, I felt like it must just be palpable in the room. My partner came inside and he went to tell him my experience. But before I could, he said, "You won't believe it. A cloud was coming over the mountains until I realized that it was a soul that came in through that window." Well, in that moment, you could have literally picked me up off the floor. I'm like, is this real? Was this even possible? Well, I mean, it must be, right? We both experienced it, so it can't just be in my head. Laying there in the magnitude of the moment, both in tears of gratitude, yet also the confusion of, can this actually be true? We start to giggle about how it arrived on a thunderclap. So clearly, if we were pregnant, we were going to have our hands full with our little Thor. So a few days later, we were visiting the pyramids in Egypt. We're heading up to the Great Pyramid, and we make our way up to the top chamber. And gratefully, there was no one else there. Just a lovely security guard who seemed to really like us. With almost no English, he gave us instructions that we could take turns laying in the sarcophagus. Now, this is not allowed, right? So we're like, yes, please. So we take turns laying in this sarcophagus. And whilst my partner is in there, my partner's laying inside meditating, and a guard came to me and he points at my belly and he's like, "Baby?" I'm like, maybe. He pointed and nodded. And he's like, "Yes, two babies. Seriously, you could have knocked me over with a feather in that moment. I'm like speechless. Anyway, we left in silence. We stood outside looking at each other with total disbelief. Like, well, maybe we're having Thor and the Valkyries. We're going to need to call in all of our shamanic mentors to Godmother for this one. Anyway, we're floating down the Nile a few days later with a powerful group of teachers and of our community, and we're anxiously waiting until the time when I could do a pregnancy test. Any woman who's had this experience of not knowing knows that anxiety of like, has it been enough days yet? Can I do the test? Anyway, unfortunately, we didn't quite make it that long, because the day before I would have been able to test, my body showed me itself and started to bleed. So we were not pregnant. After such a emotional few days, that was a bitter pill to swallow, and certainly a very confusing and upsetting time for both of us. For me personally, what I realized was that even though I was not pregnant with a child, I had received a powerful transmission on conscious conception. And that was what I was now able to share with others. And also that I still had communication with the souls that came to me that day. So since then, I have met these souls coming to other women's wombs. And most importantly, I've been able to communicate with the collective of the Blue Diamond souls. So I can share with you what they have to say, who they are, why they are here, and how we can best support them. They have a powerful gift to share with us, and they are here to make a rapid shift in humanity. I'm going to tell you in a minute, we're going to go on to who are the Blue Diamond souls, but I want to share this story, this experience for me of being able to have these souls in my field and to at times gift them to other women. We were here in Bali when we first arrived in Bali, and we went to a wedding, and I had never met the couple before. It was my partner's friends, and so we went to this wedding. It was the most beautiful wedding, very conscious, and there was a moment where they were handing around the rings for everybody to blow wishes into, and I had been aware for a few days of a soul in my field and was starting to wonder. I'd already written the book, and I knew that one of the souls that had been around me was not to birth through me, but was to birth this book. And then there was another soul around me, and I was wondering, like, I don't know, maybe am I to birth this one? I'm not sure. Anyway, as the rings came to me from this couple, the soul was like, I want to go with them. And in that moment, blowing into the wedding rings and blowing the gift of this soul, saying that when this couple are ready to conceive, when this couple are ready to bring through a soul, that they'll be able to bring through this blue diamond soul that had been in my field. And it's one of the most humbling and emotional experiences to be able to gift a soul to another couple, or to be able to support another couple in bringing through a soul that I can see or feel in their field. And it's one of the most divine experiences that I still get to have to this day, is supporting women or couples to conceive these souls, and to being able to be the voice, to being able to connect women to, so many women or couples can feel this soul in their field, but they're not able to communicate. And so by being able to be the voice of the blue diamond souls allows me to be able to channel and to share with these women or with these couples, like what it is that the souls need them to do, or what it is that the souls need them to know or to hear in order for them to be able to conceive and to be able to birth through them. So I'm going to read you another chapter. So who are the blue diamond souls? The next generation are the ones that are here to make rapid change in the world as we know it, creating a new humanity. These are the blue diamond souls. One of the biggest lessons that they are here to teach us is to understand the vibration of love, the I am presence. And to understand that not only is it possible, but it's imperative that we make rapid change in the world. And so in their words, through this book is weaved partly my words and a lot of their words, of them sharing and directly in their words. So with the parts that are in their words, I chose not to edit them, and I also shared with the editor not to edit their words. So sometimes the languaging is very different than the way we may perhaps speak. One of the things that I did ask them when I was channeling this book is to share it in words that would be easy for people to understand, and to share it in a way that is easy to translate. And I have to tell you, it's a very interesting experience when they do speak to me in the translation, because their language is not our language. And so there's this very interesting experience of the translation coming through as they're trying to give it to me in words that I will understand, and that those that I speak to will understand easily. So in their words, our purpose is to shift you as humanity away from low density, third dimensional beings heading towards rapid extinction, and instead to help you shift the vibration of this planet, of this humanity, as we rise together up to the fifth dimensional realm that will allow you to see that life is in fact extremely different to the way you have been viewing it. And from this level, you will begin to see that we are here to work together, not only on this planet, but also across other galaxies. We are not individuals. We are all different aspects of the one organism who is here to activate the light codes and the light grids to shift all humanity into a completely different dimension beyond what you are able to imagine. So many of these souls that are coming have not been here before. They've not been incarnated on this dimension of Earth before, and they have a very different and a very high vibration. If you've been around any of them, you would know that something is very different about these children. You can see it in their eyes. They are awake and alert. They are highly intelligent, and they know things that may surprise you. They are not impacted by the same conditioning as us. They are not born with the same ancestral conditioning that you and I were. They're not willing to sit and be quiet and not be heard, as they are here to make a shift and to make a change. And change makers don't sit quietly. Anyone who's on here who is a parent, yes, Kerry, that's your daughter too. Anyone who is on here as a parent will know this one well. So one example of these souls is Greta Thornberg, a very young woman making waves in the world by being brave enough to stand up and speak. But you will note that she doesn't think that she's brave. She just doesn't see it any other way. She's a Swedish environmental activist at the age of 15. I think she's older than that now. She's already making enough noise as one person speaking the truth. So can you imagine an entire generation of children like that, prepared to stand up and be themselves, born knowing their purpose? For big corporations and governments, That's a threat. Hence the push in vaccines, more poison in our food, water and air, as it's best to keep us numbed. So interesting as I share this with you. I'm like, when I first shared the book, it was partially, what do you call it when they don't share it with the world? Silenced. I can't think of the right word right now. People were trying to search for it on Amazon. It's still the case for some people. People are trying to search for it and it says that it's not available. It is available. It's just that what is written in here was silenced in some areas. And also think of the fact that this was written before the experience that we're in of any talk of vaccinations now, or before COVID, or before what was happening. So I thought this was super, super interesting. Not that piece there was their words, it's mine, but it's through what they have expressed to me. So the Blue Diamond Souls are here to make monumental shift in the world. Then we start to realize that the reason that some people have considered not having children is perhaps the exact reason to have children. We need these souls to incarnate here and to help us to make the shift that is required. These new souls are asking to be born through activated wombs and through conscious conception to parents who are letting go of their own conditioning and managing their own energy fields. It's a very different experience to parent these children, and they will more than likely challenge your conditioned ways of parenting. Many of them are misunderstood, and many of them are being put on medications because people don't understand them. Think about the rise of ADHD, or of children who we believe are on the autism spectrum, when actually many of them are just brilliant. Many of them are just very different. So we don't understand them. And some of these children are in fact Blue Diamond souls. So I'm going to allow them to explain now in their own words where they're from. Your planet and the way your people move upon this planet, you currently are living in what's called the 3D or third dimension. You are third dimensional beings. Yet your planet is currently also holding 12th dimensional beings concurrently, as is your Earth moving at different frequencies. So the land we come from, although appears invisible to you, is here within the same planet, yet within a different dimensional field. We come from the dimension where you call Earth Lumeria. You think that this happened in a time gone by in the past, yet as we've previously explained, as time is not linear, it is not happening necessarily in the past. Much of it is happening concurrently, yet in the dimensional realm that you are not able to see. We are able to move through different dimensions. Although it becomes very uncomfortable for us, we are able to shift down to your third dimensional reality. Mostly we can make this shift when we are invited through a portal, an opening in the time-space continuum and in the dimensions for us to be able to travel between realms. And so when these portals are opened, it allows us to move from the 12th dimensional plane into your third dimensional plane and to be born into you as third dimensional beings, humans. Yet where we are from is less physical, less dense, so we are able to move between time and space easily. So although it seems confusing, we are already right here with you on this same planet. Feeling if I should keep reading. Yes, I'm going to read to you a really powerful piece. I think what I'll do is I'll read the story straight as it's written and then and not interrupt it, and then if I feel to add to it at the end. But this was a really, I've got goosebumps as I'm about to tell you this part of the book. So this is opening the portal for the Blue Diamond Souls. Yeah, literally I'm covered in goosebumps. I'm covered in goosebumps. This is another difficult one to read to you. And so what I would encourage as I read this is, if you're in a place where you can, is just close your eyes and allow yourself to really absorb and drop into the experience. And I'm going to read it exactly as it's written, and then I'll share a little about it in a moment. Deep breath. As I sit here, this is the most challenging part of the book for me to write, because it's deeply personal and also because of the sacredness of this moment. I want to be sure to hold the deepest of integrity to myself and to the others present. And yet also share the story that's being asked of me to tell you. They, the Blue Diamond souls, want you to understand how they are coming in here and the importance of temple or ritual space in their conception and birth. On my last visit to Haydn Mystery School, the portal opened to bring in tens of thousands of Blue Diamond souls. I've experienced the portal open before and bring in up to 16 souls through, but this time was overwhelmingly powerful and huge. This is the story of that portal opening. I invite you to keep an open mind as you hear this, as you may wish to allow yourself to feel the transmission of this story as it is multidimensional. One Friday morning, I was with a small group up in the turret, doing our usual morning meditations together. Freezing cold, all rugged up in blankets. The only sound present was the birds waking up on the roof above. Suddenly, from the silence, the message was so clear and strong. It's time to open the portal. I instantly knew it was the voice of the Blue Diamond souls, and I knew what I needed to do. It was time to gather the community together and to do a ceremony to open the portal, calling in the souls of the community, the souls of the next generation, and the connection to the world soul. I also knew that I needed to lay myself upon the altar as a womb that was inviting a soul in. Knowing that my lack of attachment to the role of mother was what was being asked for, and that it was time to lay myself in full and divine service to my soul's purpose of supporting these Blue Diamond souls in finding their way to the wombs and hearts of those who are destined to birth them. The way these souls are being asked to be conceived is from a place of sacredness, and in an ultimate setting for the potential mother to be prepared to lay down her needs and desires of motherhood, and instead lay herself upon the altar in service of the possible soul that may enter her womb, to let go of any personal attachments to the outcome. I'm not here to say as a collective that we are at this stage yet, but as this was the opening, that was to be my offering to the temple, my own womb. In their words, we are calling to be conceived in temple, in what we call temple, in space of sacredness, in a space of love, in a space of community. We are expecting to be honored for who we truly are. We are expecting to be called in with reverence and devotion. When I speak to the term temple, remember that temple can be created with just two people coming together in sacred union, or temple can be created with an entire community coming into sacred union as one. In an ultimate world, we would be called in by community, and in an ultimate world, we would be called in by a group becoming one. Yet we understand that the human race is perhaps not yet in a place to understand such a vibration and frequency. Though what we ask them to realize is that it can also be done as two becoming one. The temple's set, the candles are alight, and the scents and sounds of the temples are enticing us as we enter. My beloved and I are lovingly guided up to a bed on the altar. I feel my heart racing and the overwhelming expansion of my chest as I begin to settle into the magnitude of what is about to happen. Just as they have shown me many times over, we are going to bring forth the temple that will open the portal and guide these souls through. I know this moment in time is one that can only ever be truly understood and shared by those who are there. And yet here we will be making a change in the future of humanity. In the words of the Blue Diamond souls again, to open this portal is to journey to the cosmic womb, to the void, the place of pure potentiality. This is the closest that you have been to reaching our dimension. This is the closest meeting point between our realms. So for you to journey to the cosmic womb and to call us, to simply welcome and call us in with divine, pure intention, the more of you that gather together at once to hold these portals open, the more of us can come through to support you as humanity. And so when done in community space, togetherness space, and each bringing yourselves to the cosmic womb together as one collective, as one organism, not as a group of individuals, but as one organism, that vibration becomes strong enough to create a portal that opens for long enough to magnetize many of us in. Once a portal has been opened that is large enough to bring through many, then as the individual couple, it becomes easier to just tune in and tap into the fact that we are already in your dimension. So once again, to go to the cosmic womb, yet understanding that we are already in your dimensional realm. So allowing those whose purpose on this earth is to hold the portal open for us, allowing and supporting those who understand the way to do this, so that then the individuals can more easily call us in to conceive. When I finish telling you this story, I'll tell you what that really means. I'm going to finish the story. Two high priestesses gracefully use their voices, supported by the weaving sound that seemed to pick us up and take us on a journey to another realm, as another held her watchful gaze over the group, weaving the energy as required. Together, they guided the community through each of the gates of the womb, dropping us into trust, and then gratitude, leading into awe and devotion, coming back to the depth of innocence that we are, and then diving into the deep, deep longing of the womb. As we begin to leave the womb and head towards creation point, we no longer seem to be in the same room. We've been transported to what feels like a magical temple in another dimensional realm. I feel my body stand up and move towards the altar. Standing with my back to the room, I feel the energy building, intensifying as we're coming closer to the final destination, to the cosmic womb. My beloved stands to join me with his chest pressed against my back. I feel held and safe, knowing that what's about to come. The room moves into the cosmic womb and my hands shoot straight up into the air, holding onto my crystal synergy unk, pointing up to the sky, and in that moment, it opens. The portal to call in the blue diamond souls. The surge of energy through my beloved and that of my own body is immense. Like being struck or hit by lightning, I feel my knees struggling to hold me up and my beloved keeping us both balanced. Feels like we are there for lifetimes, surging, and then I see it. Here they come. I've seen them before as they enter the portals, but this time there's more. I remember thinking, wow, there's hundreds of them. And then thinking, no, wait, there's thousands and thousands of them entering our dimension. Slowly, the energy of the room starts to make its way back down, settling ever so gently back into this dimensional reality, back into the room, back into our bodies. And then it hits me, the magnitude of what this means. And there's tears flooding down my face as I know this is my greatest purpose in this lifetime. To support these souls in landing here at this time when humanity needs it the most. Moments later, a dear sister of mine came over to me and said, "Did you see them? Thousands of stars came down." And in that moment, I knew it. I didn't just dream this. I'm not making up my own reality. This is really happening. And so where are those souls now? Well, some of those souls were conceived around the world that night. And many are here in our dimension waiting for the wombs ready to hold them. A few months later, in a string of unlikely events, the same day of the wedding that I told you where I gifted the soul to this couple, I went to dinner And I met a woman that I hadn't met before, and we chatted about life and wombs and blue diamond souls, as quite often comes up in conversation with me. She asked, can I share something with you? Saying, I don't know why I need to tell you this, but I'm pregnant and I haven't really told anyone yet. Well, you guessed it. We worked out the dates, and it was on that very night that she conceived. These souls led us together to meet that day, and for her to share that with me so I could continue to get the proof that my poor little human mind seems to need, that all of this is really happening. I also know of another woman who conceived that very night, and I'm sure that there are many, many more who I have not yet met. And as for the rest, perhaps that's why you're hearing this or reading this book, is one of them is coming through you or your loved ones, or perhaps it's time to start preparing for one. As Millie writes, that baby is kicking a lot as I speak these words, because baby knows exactly what I'm talking about. As Millie's holding a little blue diamond. And so I'm also seeing Kerry asking, to explain what this part of the book actually means. So do you mean around the opening of the portal? I guess around that story. And how long ago was it? So it was last year, and gosh, I can't even think of the month right now. My head's not in that space, but it was last year. Towards the end of last year, it was just before I moved to Bali, so maybe October, November last year. But yeah, there's this, these souls really are requiring portals to be open to be able to bring them through. And so either some couples are very able to open that portal and to hold that portal open themselves and to call these souls in. And for some couples, that's just not their reality, right? And so what my experience has been bringing these souls in and soul midwifing them through and opening the portals so that they can be within this dimensional realm, so that the parents that they are to come through, that it's easier for them, that they are already here, that they are able to easily conceive. And sometimes my role literally is that, holding that portal open that night for thousands and thousands and thousands of these souls. I know where some of them have gone, and of course there will be many, many, many that I will never know where those souls went. There are some that I will meet, such as meeting the woman that day when she was pregnant and working that out on that conception date. There are many who I have, many of my clients who I have supported through womb work, or I have supported through being able to communicate between the soul and themselves. Obviously, I have connected with those souls and spoken to them and met them on that level. I have met one whilst she was still in the womb, which was pretty amazing. So, Kerry, it's a hard experience for me to explain what holding the portal open is for me. It is literally, I see and sense and feel a portal between dimensions. So they're basically in 12th dimension. That's where they are, and they are able to travel in between to third quite easily. However, the experience that I have is that it looks like a portal, it feels like a portal, and that there is, through intention, is where I'm able to open it. Through intention, through magic, through prayer as well, yes, is how I'm able to open it, and definitely through ritual and ceremony. And so that night of being able to, the only reason I was able to hold it open for thousands and thousands of my partner and I was because there was a whole community of people there holding that same intention, and also on a very powerful piece of land on a mystery school, and everybody holding such deep intention and such deep prayer together, journeying through the womb gates. And so I will keep reading the book on another day, and Kerry, I think you may have read the book, where it does talk about the womb gates. And so to work through those gates as a couple to the cosmic womb, that's basically where you're able to tune into and open the portal, is once you're in the cosmic womb. So for us to have a whole group and a whole community of people using the energy of Eros, and like it says in the book, what they're asking for in community, which is not necessarily possible for a lot of people, but what they're asking for is the making love as one. And that does not necessarily mean what will come into a lot of people's minds through that. What it is going into this energetic space together. You don't even need to be touching each other. In our experience, it was in couples, but like it's actually just journeying that energy of love making together in the same room with somebody guiding that. That allowed this particular experience, and it's not something that I would think probably many people would be able to recreate to that level. However, on an individual, for a couple wishing to open a portal and bring in souls, it's really to be able to journey the womb gates, to understand the depth of what the womb gates is, and to be able to make love through the gates, whether that's literally physically making love, whether that's energetically making love, whether that's self-pleasuring through the gates, but using this energy of love and of eros and of ecstasy within the body to reach the cosmic womb. And from that place in the cosmic womb, it basically is, yes, meditation or prayer, letting them know, like, I'm calling you in, you're welcome, it's time. Usually you'll find for parents who are going to conceive a blue diamond soul, it is already a sacred contractual agreement that you have with them. So they're already in your field. It is just that they're waiting for that moment. They're waiting for you to say yes. They're waiting for you to set that intention so that they know, okay, now's the time, because time for them is something very different. They don't live in our linear version of time. So it's not as though you have this agreement that on the, I don't know, in 2020 on the whatever of 20th of October, we're going to conceive. That's not their reality. Their time experience is different. So they need you to actually let them know, like, yes, now is the time. I am ready. I am a full yes to this. It's not necessarily everybody's conscious experience, mind you. When I say that around you needing to say yes and call them in, I definitely know a number of parents to these blue diamond souls who it was not that experience. However, they were highly conscious and doing a lot of womb work and understood the womb gates, and have been doing this type of work. And so therefore it's easy for the souls to come in. One of the things that they really are looking for is conscious couples, women who have an activated womb, people who are going to be able to hold them, because they're very, very different as children, and their expectations and the way they live this life and the way they need to be parented is extremely different to many other children. And so there is, in fact, like an expectation or an ask on the parents to be willing to work with their own emotional intelligence and willing to work with their own vibrational frequency, and to raise their own vibrational frequency to be able to support these children, so that we're not numbing them, shutting them down, that we are actually listening to what they need from us, and that we are willing to support them in their journey. And, you know, I mean, my role is around supporting these souls and coming through in women, in couples conceiving the souls, communicating with the souls, and quite literally when my clients are in labor is singing the soul in. And that's not necessarily meaning to be, I haven't been there as they're giving birth. I usually get a little blue diamond message that comes through, and I know that means that my client or the person that I've been working with is in labor, and it shamanically, energetically tune into that soul and sing it in, which is one of the most profound experiences of my life. And when I have then shared afterwards with the women who were in labor, like what my experience was, it has been wild to hear like what their experience is as well, and how we can really tune in and communicate with these souls, and how they can show exactly what their experience is. And for many of us, this hasn't been our birth experience. We haven't birthed knowing that it's okay to fully bring our soul here. We've kind of like, you know, arrived leaving, like we're one toe in, like our soul's a bit like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go do this human thing. And then the rest of the soul's not really fully landed. And so having this gift of being able to sing the souls in at that moment as they're being born is one of the most profound experiences. And some of my womb spiral facilitators, one in particular, actually works with parents of these blue diamond souls. Hers are a little older actually, which is perfect, because she's having this understanding and being able to see the way they're different and the way they need to be cared for. And so then her support is for supporting parents and supporting children, like basically all the women who are in my field doing this work, we're working in some way in the birth field. I think three of my apprentices two apprentices and one of my facilitators or practitioners are also doulas. Like, we're really bringing this work as strongly as we can. My deepest intention, or actually not just mine, but all of us in the collective of women who are doing this work with me next year, is to start bringing this even more into the birth field and to start to actually bring it into hospitals. And it doesn't mean that it has to be known within the hospital what's happening, but just that many birth workers, midwives and doulas are understanding what the womb gates are, how the womb gates are used in conception, how they're used in birth, so that we can start to support these souls in coming through at this particular moment in time where we really need them. We couldn't need them any more than what we do right now, and that is very evident given the year that we've had, which always fascinates me, because like I said, I had no idea the world was going this way when I wrote this book. So that's a little snippet, a little taster of the book. My intention over the next probably couple of weeks is to just keep on jumping in here and doing different little book readings when I feel the hit. So keep an eye out for it. I love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your feels as well. So anytime you're on the lives, please, or if you're watching this as a replay, give me a hashtag replay. And if something lands for you, or if you've got questions, please ask the questions. If something lands for you, I would love to hear it. If you want to get the book, you can actually get it on, you should be able to get it on Amazon. Or if you can't, it's on Lulu. So it's the Blue Diamond Souls, Calling in the Next Generation. You can get it in ebook and also in hard copy as well. So check it out, have a read. Actually, I'll also put a link underneath in the comments for, I have a Telegram chat where people who want to ask questions directly of the Blue Diamond Souls and have a channeled answer for that. I have a Telegram thread for that as well, which I will put underneath. So if you have a question that you would like to ask them, if it's just like kind of, not a whole big reading, if it's just a question, you can do that through the Telegram thread and I just voice message it back to you. If you are thinking that there's a Blue Diamond Soul in your field and you would like a reading and you would like a channeling session with those Blue Diamond Souls, it is something that I have been doing privately with my current clients. However, I'm starting to open that up now to the wider collective, because I see that actually it's really important, and I see the impact that it has when people get to hear what this soul has to say specifically to them. So if you are a person who feels like you would be perhaps going to work with the Blue Diamond Souls, or you feel like there's one maybe in your field, or maybe you want to conceive one, please private message me and I will let you know how you can book in a channeling session with them as well. So thanks Tegan, thanks Rosalind, thanks Kerry, thank you everyone who joined in and chatted. Wishing you all just the most wonderful rest of your Saturday, not Sunday, like I was saying at the beginning of the call, of saying that it was Sunday morning and it's Saturday morning. So I just gained a whole extra day. So wishing you so much love wherever you are in this world. I hope that gifted something to you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one of these at some point very soon, probably in the next day or so. So much love. Goodbye.